I'm going to give you 3 different scenarios that I want you to think about. The first one is, and you just imagine this in your head, that you are walking into an exercise class, or perhaps you're walking into church or a Bible study, just a group of people that some of them you know, some of them you don't know. Okay, and now think about what's going on inside of your head as you're walking into the room. What are you thinking about what everyone else is thinking about you? Do you worry about what people think? Now here's the second scenario. You've been texting your friend off and on for the past several days. She still hasn't gotten back with you. She hasn't responded to your text. She hasn't called. What goes on inside of your mind? Do you imagine how she is upset with you? Do you worry that she's mad at you? Do you think even she must not like you anymore? And perhaps you're not even her friend anymore, but she doesn't care about you. Now here's the third scenario. You go out to lunch with a friend. It's someone that you know fairly well, but not really, really well. And as you sit down, you're waiting for your food, and you begin to talk about your week and what's been going on. She asks you, how you've been feeling, and you start talking about how you've been depressed and anxious and what's been going on in your relationships, how that has been bothering you. And then the waiter comes and sits your food down. You stop talking to wait until everything's in order. And while that's going on, in that moment of silence, your head starts racing with all of those thoughts. What are the thoughts that come to you? Are they thoughts of, oh my goodness, what is she going to think of me? She probably thinks I am an idiot. She thinks I am nuts. She thinks I'm crazy. Why is it, if this is you, if it sounds like you, why is it that you worry about what others think? And I'm not saying this to you as a way of saying you shouldn't worry, just quit it. You shouldn't worry about what other people think. You must be an idiot. I'm not saying that. Because what I want to help you with today is to understand what is really going on as to why you worry what others think. And then also what it is that how you're probably trying to deal with that is not only helping but could be making it worse. And then lastly, I'll look at least a first step that you can take to learn how to actually stop worrying so much about what others think of you. Well, let me pause here and introduce myself in case you don't know me. My name is Tawnya Kordenbrock, and I am the person behind arenewedlife.com. And for years, I worked as a licensed professional clinical counselor with a private practice. But right now, what I am doing is an online program where I teach women how to rewire their brains so that they can break free from fear, anger, and shame, to be able to love themselves, to feel loved by others, and to have a deeper relationship with God. And I hope you will check that out. It's my Mastering Emotions program. And also be sure to subscribe right now so that you can get more of these teachings, and stay tuned till the end because I have a free resource that I want to tell you about. Let's take a look now at why it is that you obsessively worry about what others think. Now, it doesn't mean, if you do this, it doesn't mean that something's wrong with you, that you are stupid, that you're crazy, or anything like that. It merely is a learned coping mechanism that goes along with anxiety, and it's a way of coping that you learned a long time ago, most likely in your childhood, so that when you felt anxious or felt rejected, that you came up with a way of handling those emotions, and the way that you handled them was to kind of almost accuse yourself of having something wrong with you, and saying that other people were thinking that something was wrong with you. And, as with working with women throughout the years, I've noticed that there are some common things that they will say about themselves. They almost always will worry that other people are highly attentive to how they look and critical of how they look, that a lot of times it has to do with their weight, that they are either too heavy or they are too thin. And also that they are ugly, that people will think that they are ugly, or also that people are thinking that they're crazy. That is a common statement, or that they are stupid. Now, why would they pick those things? Why would they focus on those things about themselves when there could be all kinds of things that they could point to? And part of that's going to be our culture and what is big in the culture, that we know that people pay attention to. A lot of times, though, it's connected to your past and some hurts that occurred in your life that are meaningful for you. And so those are going to stand out to you, that are reasons why you would perceive that people might reject you or might not like you. So what do you do about this, and how do women normally try to cope with this? Well, normally what they do is they kind of just tell themselves to stop it. And like, I shouldn't be thinking this way. I shouldn't be worrying like this. I shouldn't be concerned about what someone else is saying. And they beat themselves up for the fact that they beat themselves up. They get upset, angry at themselves because they worry so much about what others think. And then they can go on from there and just try to convince themselves that they don't care. Why, you know what? I just don't care what other people think, they will say. But in reality, they do care. Otherwise, their thoughts wouldn't be stuck there on if they should care or not. Simply telling yourself that you don't care means that you do care. Otherwise, you wouldn't even think about it. You wouldn't have to tell yourself that. So trying to convince yourself that you don't care, and also trying to just push those feelings away, and like, I'm just not going to feel that way. I'm not going to think about it. You shouldn't worry so much, kind of preaching at yourself, yelling at yourself, that you are crazy because you worry so much about that they think you're crazy. None of that works. None of that makes it go away. And actually, it can cause it to be worse because you're ignoring what's really going on. You're not getting at the root cause as to why it is that you are worrying so much about other people's opinions of you. So what do you do instead? What is it that you should do with this? Well, you do need to look at what is underneath of it. And normally, because this is an ingrained pattern and it's a coping mechanism, it's been there for such a long time, it's going to kick in very rapidly. You're going to have those nervous thoughts and about others just right off the bat, and you're going to believe them that they're true. And so you just kind of go on in that, and that reinforces the pattern, doesn't bring any change to it. And again, just trying to make it go away, that doesn't change it either. So looking at what is underneath of it, what's behind it, you want to first slow down and look at what are the emotions that are driving this. And even just pausing. You know, when you're having those worrisome thoughts, you're sitting there at the table with your friend, you're wondering what she's thinking, and notice, okay, I'm having all kinds of thoughts about what she is thinking about me. So I wonder what it is that I'm actually feeling. Well, I'm feeling scared right now. I'm feeling nervous that she isn't going to want to be my friend, or that she isn't going to be as close as what I would like her to be. Or perhaps, you know, when you walk into church and you're thinking, oh my goodness, everyone is looking at me, everyone is thinking that I am fat, and you feel like just closing in on yourself, shrinking up into a little tiny ball or something, and just rolling out of there so no one can see you, or becoming invisible. And so notice those thoughts. Oh, look, I'm having some thoughts about how I look and about what people are thinking of that. I'm having some thoughts that I should just run and get out of here. But then also look at, what am I feeling that's causing these thoughts? You know, could be that you're having shame about your weight, you know, and then that's a whole nother matter of why it is that you feel shame about your weight. Because certainly there are plenty of people who can be overweight and not feel any shame about it. They don't care about it. So just being overweight does not mean you have to feel shame. So think about why it is that you go towards shame. Or maybe you have a fear of rejection. And so in order to kind of sidestep being rejected, you create a scenario in your mind where you're already rejected, and then possibly, you know, it doesn't feel as painful because you already knew they weren't going to like you, right? And so this is what I'm trying to explain to you, is how to slow down, to notice your thoughts, to notice the emotions that are behind it. Because when you can do that, first of all, that helps to change that pattern of response, that coping mechanism. But then if, let's say you have shame, well, how are you going to work on your self-image if you're not even recognizing that you have shame? But instead, you're attributing those thoughts to be truth about other people and what they think about you, and how can those other nasty people think that about you? It totally takes the focus off of you and puts it on them. So when you focus on your emotions, it turns it back to be able to notice your own emotions, but also to honor them. They need to be honored. They need to be recognized. You know, perhaps you are feeling lonely, you know, and this is why you imagine that no one is going to want to be with you, because you're fearful that you're going to continue feeling lonely, and that's a painful feeling. So, but if you don't recognize it, that this is the reason why you are worrying so much, that other people are going to think you're too something or other, or you're not enough of something, that in your head, that's a coping mechanism to deal with that loneliness. But it also keeps people distant from you. So that if you're not recognizing that you're lonely, then you're not going to take any steps to reach out to more people, or to do whatever it is to help you with your self-image, to help you with your fear and with your anxiety, your fear of rejection, for instance. Well, let me know if that makes sense for you. Let me know, like, what kind of thoughts come to your mind when you are sitting down with someone, or when you walk into a room, when you are not sure what it is that they think of you. What is it that you worry about that others are thinking of you? Now, as I mentioned, I do have a free resource for you, and this is a way to help you become conscious of those thoughts you're having and the emotions that are behind them. And it uses scripture verses to help you to become more in touch with that. So I hope that you will take advantage of that today. Give me a thumbs up if this made sense for you and if you appreciated it. And also share it with others. Thanks a lot. Bye.